A common question that I answer during an initial consultation with my clients is whether hiring an immigration lawyer to file for your green card will get you the green card faster. Will using a lawyer accelerate the immigration process? And the answer to this, like many things in immigration law, is it depends. Today we're going to be discussing some situations where using a lawyer can result in a faster outcome, and other situations where using a lawyer will make no difference on the processing times. If you're new to my channel, I'm Puyan Darian, an immigration lawyer, and today I'm here to talk to you about another immigration law topic. One of the most common types of cases that I handle is when an immigrant marries a US citizen and is applying for their green card in the US during a process referred to as adjustment of status. And when they do this, oftentimes they are very anxious to start their lives together. So anxious that a few months of additional delay can have a dramatic impact on their relationship, on their future plans together, whether or not the immigrant will be able to travel. Sometimes they're trying to do another wedding outside of the country so that the immigrant's family members can attend. And all of that depends on them getting their documents and eventually their permanent residence as fast as possible. If that's the case, then it's typically better to use an immigration lawyer. And that's because an immigration lawyer has done this before and they know what pitfalls to avoid and what can cause delays. A common example is with the form I-864, Affidavit of Support. I see a lot of people who try to do this form by themselves, make a mistake, and while it's not initially fatal, it'll result in a request for evidence, which gives you 87 days to respond. And if you use that entire 87 days to respond and create the best response possible, you probably delayed the immigration process and the green card and work permit process by at least 87 days and a month. So like 4 months delay that could have been avoided if you used an immigration lawyer, assuming that this problem was avoidable. Now, honestly, there are some situations where USCIS makes a mistake, especially on this form, and they send you a request for evidence. But even in those situations, when I get those, I make it a point to respond as fast as possible so that my clients can get their documents and begin living their lives together as fast as possible. So using a lawyer will sometimes result in the best possible time frame, but a lawyer cannot actually accelerate the immigration process. The USCIS processing times are largely outside of our controls. There's almost nothing we can do short of suing USCIS, and we can only sue USCIS if they're outside of the processing times in certain situations. So the general answer when someone asks me, will a lawyer speed up the process, is no. A lawyer won't speed up the process. The processing times are the processing times. There's nothing I can do generally to get you your work permit faster or to schedule your green card interview faster. But what I can do is make sure that there are no unnecessary delays by making sure all the paperwork is properly submitted, and that if we do get a request for evidence, we respond to it as fast as possible in a way that's going to result in the immediate adjudication of all the paperwork. Let me give you an example of 2 separate situations that resulted in seriously different outcomes based on one who used a lawyer and one who didn't. Now, I'm not saying that people can't file their paperwork by themselves and have a good outcome. I'm just going to give you an example of a situation that comes to mind. One of my clients applied for their green card in January of 2022. And 11 months later, they had completed their interview for the green card and the green card was in their hands. So start to finish in this case, based on the processing times in 2022, it took 11 months. I recently consulted with somebody, and now it's March of 2023. I consulted with somebody who filed their green card paperwork by themselves in January of 2022. 3 months later, they got a request for evidence. and it delayed the process by about 3.5 months. They had their green card interview in February of 2023. So right off the bat, 3.5 months after the first example I gave, they just had their green card interview. And a full month has now passed since that interview, and they recently consulted with me to see why it's taking so long to get the green card. And after consulting with them, I learned that they probably did a really bad job preparing their evidence and preparing for the interview, and it's possible that they might receive a Stokes interview, which means they won't get another green card interview for a year because it's been flagged for fraud. And if all goes well at that other interview, they might get their green card after that. So this is a dramatic example of situation A, start to finish, 11 months. Situation B, they made every mistake in the book and it's probably gonna take 2 or more years before they finally get their green card. Now, I'm not saying that everyone makes these mistakes, and I'm not saying that you can't do all of this paperwork by yourself. In fact, if you're well-versed in the forms and you do all your research, and I would advise at least speaking with an immigration lawyer before filing it, but I see people file this stuff all by themselves with good outcomes. It happens, and I'm pretty sure people are going to be commenting below about how they filed it themselves and they got their green cards quickly and it was fine. Like I said, an immigration lawyer can just avoid unnecessary delays that you might cause if you make some mistakes. An immigration lawyer cannot actually accelerate the USCIS case processing times. So take what you will from that. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of the video. If you know someone or you yourself have filed for a green card without using a lawyer, I would really want to hear about your experiences in the comments below. Tell me how wrong I am or tell me how right I am. Doesn't matter. I think a lot of people who are watching these videos will get a lot of value out of anything you write about your experiences. If you're interested in consulting with me about an immigration issue, please feel free to schedule a consultation. You could do it through my website or by calling my office. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. I put out a similar video on immigration topics every week, and I'll see you guys next week for another video.